sucked, gruesomely, through a 4.5-meter wide pipe into a massive underwater electricity-generating turbine of a dam with incredible force. These two experienced divers went on a routine night dive that would soon turn into a horrific nightmare, one that could have been easily avoided. On January 4th, 2024, two divers, Christopher Gaudet and Frederic Pochet, are gearing up for a technical night dive in the Taille Reservoir. Despite being one of Belgium's most popular diving locations, this reservoir is home to a 790-meter-long hydroelectric dam. The dam and reservoir are part of 5 man-made lakes in the Wallonia region. Together, they create the largest artificial lake complex in the country. It is here that the two men were getting ready to dive, and it is here that their lives would take a drastic turn for the worse. Because of its enormous size, covering approximately 351 hectares, the reservoir offered various recreational activities, including water skiing, sailing, snorkeling, and diving, with multiple schools stationed around the lake and a dive center located near the dam. However, Christopher and Frederick weren't there to learn. These two expert divers aim to explore beyond the typical tourist dives available at the site, which feature deliberately sunken objects like a helicopter and a bus at various depths. Now, given the thousands of sailors, divers, and other recreational users of the lake, along with the dangers posed by the nearby Taille Dam, the local diving center established 2 designated safety zones, Zone A and Zone B, both having a diving radius of 150 meters. Anything outside of these zones was considered non-negotiable, as the nearby dam would run all day long, randomly turning off and on based on electricity demand from the surrounding area. The dam had 4 turbines, each capable of a maximum flow rate of 400 cubic meters per second. There was no telling when it might become a danger, so the diving club went even further by instructing divers not to descend to a depth of more than 20 meters. At this depth, a diver could still hear the powerful turbines, but they would be at a safe distance. Despite the dive center's strict safety zones, no grids were installed at the entrances of the dam's intake tunnels. The dam's operators abandoned the protective grids years ago because they required replacement every 2 to 3 months. Many regarded the two companions as very experienced divers. Christopher was a single banker from Liège who belonged to one of the local diving clubs. Both divers were reported to have PADI certifications for open water and enriched air courses. This experience and their qualifications is what made their decision on that fateful night so unusual. The pair began their night dive around 5 p.m. The local sailing and diving schools were closed, and everyone else was getting ready to pack up their things and head home for the day. Christopher and Frederick, however, were equipping closed-circuit diving gear and rebreathers. In contrast, open-circuit diving gear uses a traditional breathing regulator that provides air stored in a tank worn by divers. When you think of a scuba diver, you probably picture someone with open-circuit equipment. With this setup, each breath travels to their lungs, and as they exhale, the regulator releases the gas directly into the water. The problem with open-circuit diving, however, is that it wastes a lot of gas. So if an experienced diver wants more control over the amount of gas they are using, they will instead use a closed-circuit breathing regulator. Closed-circuit systems recycle exhaled gas through a CO2 scrubber that removes carbon dioxide. Though more difficult to use, they maximize gas efficiency and significantly extend dive times. This is important, as their decision to use these regulators meant they were planning to dive for as long and as deep as they possibly could, indicating that the 20-meter safety limit was something they were intentionally planning to break. What's even worse is that the two men also brought diving propulsion vehicles, often described as underwater scooters. The use of scooters, combined with the decision to use closed-circuit diving gear, made one thing clear. These men weren't just planning to dive deeper than the safety limit. They were planning to explore the nearby dam, a decision that was not only illegal, but also highly, highly dangerous. Most experienced divers exploring lakes with nearby dams are well aware of the dangers posed by delta P or differential pressure. This is the suction created when large volumes of water flow through a relatively small opening, causing the water to rush from high pressure to low pressure. It's a force that no swimmer could withstand, and no underwater scooter could escape. As the two men descended into the depths of the reservoir, the sounds of families packing up and divers heading home gradually faded away. At 20 meters, they could no longer hear anything from the surface, and the darkness around them deepened. At this point, most divers would have chosen to turn back, but Christopher and Frederick pressed on. They continued their descent to 30 meters, then 35 meters, and finally reached 40 meters. At this depth, they would still have been able to see what was in front of them, the intake tunnel of the Taille Dam. However, the atmospheric pressure was now at 5 times that of the surface atmosphere. At this moment, the dam was turned off, so the two divers wouldn't have heard anything. That is, until a faint hum began to vibrate through the water as the dam powered back on. The two divers had no warning when 3 of the 4 reversible pump turbines suddenly switched on. With a combined flow rate of 106 cubic meters per second, an incredible force yanked the two men instantly toward the dam. There was no time to react or resist the relentless current as they were hurled through the 4.5-meter-wide tunnel leading to the massive spinning blades of the turbines. Within seconds, they were pulled from a depth of 50 meters from the entrance down to 70 meters, helpless against the overwhelming force. After being unable to reach his father, Frederick's son arrived at the Taille Reservoir. On Friday morning, he found one of their cars still parked near the dam and realized something was terribly wrong. He immediately called the authorities, explaining the situation. Wasting no time, the Belgian Civil Protection Team and Disaster Victim Identification Unit were mobilized, along with 10 professional divers and sonar equipment to scan the reservoir for any sign of Christopher and Frederick. During the first search and rescue attempt, the search team located the divers' equipment in a damaged state, including their closed-circuit rebreathing systems, underwater scooters, and diving vests. With no confirmation that the equipment they found belonged to the divers, they continued their search. Benoit Michel, the nearby dive center manager, explained that the turbines had been running that day, leading many to speculate about what might have happened. Still, Frederick's son remained optimistic, confident in both divers being great swimmers. The average Olympic swimmer swims at a speed of 2.36 meters per second without any equipment. The suction from the turbines would have pulled the two men at a speed of 10 to 30 meters per second. Even if they had time to react, their scooters would only be able to reach max speeds up to 2.8 meters per second, unable to outrun the tremendous pull. No animal on Earth, let alone a human, could outswim that kind of pressure. Had the grates been installed, it wouldn't have made a difference. The powerful suction would have held the divers against them, rendering any escape impossible and leading to drowning. As time went on, the friends and family of both Frederick and Christopher remained hopeful. Unfortunately, search and rescue teams found no other signs of Gaudet or Pochet in the reservoir that day. Local weather conditions were a factor, with heavy rains reducing visibility during the search. At approximately 10 a.m., determined to find the missing divers, the search team deployed helicopters equipped with thermal cameras to assist with the search. By 12:30 p.m., now 46.5 hours since the two men descended into the lake, body parts were found downstream of the dam. During a second sweep, divers found additional human remains about a kilometer away on the shoreline. An autopsy report would later confirm that the body parts found in the lake and on the nearby shoreline both belonged to Christopher Gaudet and Frederick Pochet. To this day, many speculate whether the two divers had meant to go close to the dam or if it was a genuine mistake that could have easily been avoided. Regardless, it is a tragedy that will forever be remembered as the Taille Dam disaster.